Summer routines live or die by how easy they are. And honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. I know it's the winter. I know it's a little bit warmer out this week, but we are going to be talking soccer. We have Saara Hassoun, the president of Minnesota Aurora, and I'm so excited to call her president. We're going to delve into that. She returns to our podcast. We have so much to talk about. This team does so much in the community and so much on the pitch. I can't wait to chat some soccer coming up.
Yes, this is Dawn of Sports. She's Dawn Mitchell from Fox 9 and TalkNorth.com. I'm Jim Suhan from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. Always love having this conversation about this topic. We are coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studio. We want to thank Lexus of Wayzata and Maplewood and Minnesota Masonic Charities. Back to you, Dawn.
Well, Saara, thank you so much. We had you on last year when you became the chief of staff, but congratulations. In October, this past October, you were promoted to president of Minnesota Aurora. So congrats to that for all your hard work. You must be so proud.
Thanks, Dawn. Yeah, I'm thrilled. I have just loved what feels like not that short of a time here with the team, but in the grand scheme of things, it's been pretty short. I'm not even a full year in yet, but the team, this community, everything that we stand for has just been really one of my favorite experiences I've had. And I'm honored the team trusted me to elevate my role and really, let me get my hands dirty with really pushing all of us forward. So appreciate it.
What I really love about this team, we can talk success and numbers, which we will, but it is the family. And I know that's kind of a cliche thing to say nowadays when an organization is doing really well. But these women, these young women, whether they're still on the team or whether they go to play professionally, they still stay in touch with each other. Some of them still stay in touch with me. So we've talked about this in the past on this show, just how much and how quickly Minnesota Aurora has kind of been ingrained in the fabric, but also ingrained in these women and sticking together. You must be so proud of that.
It's so true, Dawn. I have been so impressed, frankly, with the culture that this team has built from day one. It's clear that they are a team of athletes who care for one another, who care for their community, who really take the responsibility of representing Aurora very seriously. And to your point, even I keep in touch with some of our athletes. I love to get the updates from them about their lives, about their careers, what they're doing. I love that they feel comfortable reaching out and saying, hey, I've got this problem. Can you help? I'm trying to pursue this thing. Do you know anybody who maybe you could connect me with? Can I learn more about this? It makes me really proud that they really know that Aurora is here for them, both on and off the field. And I just love to see their comments on each other's posts and them cheering each other on and all of those pieces. I think that that team culture is certainly one that is really special. And I've loved to see how the team really takes personal responsibility for maintaining that year over year, even when the roster changes, even when it's different. Something we talk a lot about is that we're really clear about who we are and what our values are and what's important to us here at Aurora when we recruit. And so we have this really lovely opportunity where every player opts into that. They know that going in and they decide to come here and be part of it. And I think it just really creates a really, really wonderful environment.
Well, so say if I was a young recruit and you wanted to get across just what it means to be a member of Minnesota Aurora, when you talk about the values of the team and how it is much more than and just playing a game together, what do you say to them? What would you say to me?
Yeah, I would say that here at Aurora, we are, for community by community. We care a lot about our values. We care a lot about all of the folks in our community. And so those, really core values to the team of transformation, of inclusivity, of equity, are really baked into the fabric of what we do. And it's something I think that's really different about Aurora, in that it's not just something we say. It's not something, we kind of came together and decided, okay, what looks good on a website? But it's about the core belief in who we are and how we operate. And so, we're constantly talking about how every action we take, everything we do can lead back to our values. And so we're looking for young women and athletes who really want to learn about that. I think that's something that, we take really seriously. Is an athlete, do they want to lean in? Do they want to learn? Do they kind of understand that there's this journey, of learning more about inclusivity and equity and all of these things that are important to us? We don't need our athletes to be experts, right? We don't need them to, they're young women. We do not need them to feel like they have all the answers, but we just ask, hey, are you willing to come and learn with us? Do you have sort of a sense of openness to the things we're talking about? And, when the answer is yes, and the soccer is good, then we say, all right, come on up. We would love to have you in the Twin Cities. And we do a really great job of spending the summer educating the athletes off the field too.
Oh, I think you do an excellent job. And just by way of, I think last year, and I could be wrong, I don't think I'm speaking out of pocket, that you had the most international varied players from all over the world coming here. So each and every year you get more and more international players, and that flavor and that affects the team as well. Talk about inclusivity and getting to know one another, and to being open to other people's ways of life and ideas. How has that affected the team, that each year you'll have, whether they're from France or I believe Australia, or you've had them from all over the world?
Yeah, we have. And certainly even our players who come from the US have a lot of different cultural backgrounds that they identify with. And I think having that space in the team where they really are all learning about one another. I think, you have some players who come from backgrounds, who come from upbringings where maybe they weren't exposed to that many different cultural backgrounds. Maybe they weren't exposed to folks who grew up differently than they did. And for them to be able to walk into this space where they are welcomed, where they are safe, where they are, challenged to be open with one another, to develop those relationships, it really fosters just such a great team culture. And I think you see these young women really learning and growing and being their full selves in a way that I've heard from some of our athletes they don't feel comfortable doing in other spaces, whether that's in their home club team, in their collegiate team. They maybe haven't always felt totally welcomed with every part of who they are. And that's something that, both Aurora, but also the Twin Cities really instills in them. That's something that they can come to our games and they can see our fans, they see our community owners, they see our supporters group with their signs, with their tifos, with their pride jerseys, with all of these pieces. And I think they get this innate sense, and sort of everywhere you turn at Aurora, that you are welcome, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter how you identify. We have a space for you. We have a home for you, and our fans have that space for you. And it is really beautiful.
Well, especially with the difficult climate going on right now. You mentioned the Twin Cities, and I know it's off season, but those binds and those bonds that you create in the summer can help someone now to navigate what's going on here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, we have players who are from here, who stay in the Twin Cities, who are still around. We have players who, leave and go back to wherever it is that they are in college, or they go on with their professional lives, and they're not geographically located in the Twin Cities anymore. But seeing how these athletes have really raised up what's happening here in the Twin Cities, and the resources that we're trying to provide to folks here at Aurora, and sort of the connection we're trying to provide for, we have 5,000 community owners all across the country who are looking for ways to support the Twin Cities, to support our immigrant community, to support those folks who are being targeted right now. And I've been really proud to see our players trying to amplify that and really share that with their home communities. So it is certainly a privilege for us to have those voices out in their own communities, amplifying the work that we're trying to do right now here at home.
Well, for many of the people that are listening and did not catch our first conversation last year, the background you have is a global sports fellow at Harvard. You also founded a sports consulting firm. It's not just pie in the sky. Like, these are things that you have been taught to do. You know how to do. You know how to do it well. You know how to get it across to the younger generation. And they seem to be, I don't know, sponges for what you have to say. And I think when you have that, when they're willing to be open and to listen to someone that, listen, I'm not just saying, hey, this is how I feel. This is what I've studied. This is what I know. That gravitas, I think, really helps going forward. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and I've been very lucky and fortunate that these athletes trust me and want to kind of hear what I have to say. But I also think a piece that is really special about Aurora, and that certainly I have found here, is that it is this really wonderful alignment across every piece of this organization. And frankly, that's not something I've experienced before. It's not something I've had before, where our board, our ownership, our community owners, our entire staff, our athletes, everybody in our community, whoever kind of whatever category you want to call someone, really is on the same page about wanting to support our community, wanting to support our athletes. I think in the times we're in right now, wanting to support our immigrant neighbors, and that ability to show up as your full self with all of the complex emotions, with all of the heaviness that we're carrying right now, is just incredibly special. And so I feel this sort of combination of alignment across the organization with these young women who do really show up, to your point, as sponges, just really wanting to learn and wanting to kind of take things in, really is such a privilege. And I don't take it lightly, having to kind of play this role and steward some of that experience for them.
We'll resume the conversation after we remind you that we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio. We'd also like to thank Lexus Wayzata and Maplewood. And we'd like to thank another great Minnesota company that does such good work, Minnesota Masonic Charities. Back to Dawn.
Well, Saara, I want to highlight, like, it's great when we're talking about how you have kind of the synergy across the board. There's a transparency amongst everyone that works in this organization, but it has the results. Congratulations. You guys are the 2025 USLW Organization of the Year. That is no small kudos. So congrats to you on that. And that must mean a lot to you.
Thank you. Yeah, it does mean a lot to us. I think that recognition from the league and sort of across a league that is just getting better and better every year. There are really impressive clubs and really impressive organizations showing up in the W League. And we love to see the way the league is growing, the way the sport is growing. The thing I always say that our head coach, Jen, probably hates that I say is that, we're not winning 13-0, 8-0, 9-0 anymore. And I actually think that's a really good thing. And I don't know that Jen would agree. I think that's, more stressful as a head coach sometimes, but it just is such an indication of the quality of soccer that's happening across this league and the investment that's happening in the women's game, top to bottom. So to be awarded that honor in 2025 and, our fourth year, it is really special. And we are, you're right. We are very proud of that.
Well, you're two-time Central Conference title winners. You have the winningest team in USLW history, which is incredible. And then you talk about your investors to get not only onto the board of directors. You got Carly Knox and Beth Wozniak, which are huge gets. Carly and her wife, Cheryl Reeve, have become investors. And all three of these women are women that I know put their money literally where their mouth is. And they work hard to have that kind of, everyone likes to say, crossover event, to have the crossover of strong women who are willing to not only show up with money, but to be on a board of directors and give their brain power and give their energy and their time. That is significant. And that means a lot to a club like Aurora.
It is. It's so true. And I think to your point about, putting your money where your mouth is and all of those, putting your brain where your mouth
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
We've been so fortunate. I mean, Carly and Cheryl have been season ticket holders from day one. They've been part of this community, in that capacity and have been really big cheerleaders for Aurora. Beth and her company Invent have been partners of the team since, before Beth came in more formally. And so it's been really wonderful to have them step into these more formalized, expanded roles. To your point, I am so grateful to have their brains to be able to give them a call and say, hey, I have this idea, I have this thought. What do you think? And all of your business acumen and your sports knowledge and really all of the expertise they hold. It really, just continues to unlock further levels for this club, for me as a leader. And I am just so grateful to them. It is, so cool, honestly, to have these women to look up to and to learn from, and to be really sort of materially involved in shaping the future of this organization. We're very fortunate.
What has been the difference for you personally to be in a women-led organization and to have that kind of working relationship across the board?
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. It's been, like I've said, this concept of just being able to show up to work as your full self, I think is really underrated in some ways when you kind of don't know the difference. And what I've said to my team, what I've said, to the folks here at Aurora is this difference that I've observed here, being surrounded by women, being surrounded by professional women, is that I don't feel this pressure to perform my leadership. I just get to lead, right? So I don't have to be kind of thinking on that metacognitive level of, okay, how does this come across? And how do I make sure that, perhaps in this room full of people who are not thinking of me as a leader from the get-go because of my age or because of my gender, because of kind of, how I show up. There's all of that extra thought that goes into it. And I've felt very freed from that here. I think being surrounded by these women who, are all excellent in their own way and who have kind of all gone through, similar experiences has been really gratifying for me. So it has been a really unexpected change in some ways, but a really wonderful one.
What a gift to be able to drop the pretense and the mask and then to just be who you are and get things done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that has been something that, we've all been really grateful for these past couple of weeks, that, we don't have to hold this cognitive dissonance in our heads. The world feels really heavy. And there's a lot going on and there's a lot that's really stressful and really difficult. And the fact that we're all able to show up to work and just say that and exist like that and feel like that, and then still do our work, because that's what we have to do in today's day and age. To have that gift to just show up so fully like that, without that filtering, to your point, without that mask, I think just makes us better. It makes us better at what we do. It makes us better teammates. It makes us better members of our community. And it's certainly not something I take for granted.
Well, and part and parcel to all of that is, we joked around about putting your money where your mouth is, literally, but you guys actually put your actions to what you believe, and that extends into the community. How you take a stand on, helping people with mental illness and supporting people, and your work with NAMI has been phenomenal. There's so many outreach and programs that you do in conjunction with the team. Is there anything that you're working on now that you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. Dawn, I think you're so right. We philosophically always want to think about how we can weave our community into everything that we do, and we can really make sure that we're supporting them in every way we can. So we're really excited that, in light of what's happening in the Twin Cities ahead of our 5th anniversary season in 2026, we're going to be donating $5 from every season ticket sold to the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota, through a really wonderful partnership with Pence Homes, who's been a fantastic supporter of the team from day one. So Aurora is going to take $1 from every season ticket sold, and then Pence is going to add $4 onto that to round up to this magical $5 number in honor of our 5th anniversary, so that this, the Immigrant Law Center, who is doing really incredible work right now, is getting that support. And that's something for us that we're constantly talking about and constantly thinking about. You know, we are a small business. We have to be focused on selling our tickets and making sure that our season happens and that we give these athletes the best experience we possibly can. But we would be remiss if we didn't do that in a way that consistently centered our community and centered what's happening. And we really did what we could to continue to divert resources into those places that are doing the good work. So, you know, that $5 donation, again, with a massive thank you to Pence for partnering with us to do that, is going to be really impactful.
That's incredible.
We're really looking forward to it. And we've also set aside what we're calling our community collection. So some select merchandise that really, I think, honors our community, honors Minnesota. And 15% of sales from that community collection are also going to go to the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota. So we're really trying to give folks both in Minnesota who want to support Aurora and still, you know, want to come out to our games and want to experience the joy that is Aurora this summer, but have their communities heavy on their hearts, can do both the way that we're doing both every day through their season tickets. And for our folks who are community owners or who are out in the world, who maybe aren't physically in Minnesota and still want to kind of exist in that space of supporting both, they can buy things from this community collection and, you know, represent Minnesota out there in the world and know that there's money from that going to a really great cause. So we're really looking forward to the impact that we hopefully can have on supporting the Immigrant Law Center and how they're supporting our neighbors right now.
Well, I think all of that is amazing. And so can you remind the listeners where they can get season tickets, what the website is, because that's just a fantastic way that they can also support two things at one time.
Yeah, absolutely. They can get season tickets on our website, mnaurora.com/tickets. And those will be on sale very soon, hopefully. And they can shop the collection at mnaurora.com/shop.
I know you said very soon, so that means tryouts are just coming up, and the season. Now, I don't know if this is true. I heard is it going to look a little different? Is it condensed this year, or is that next year?
So the season is condensed this year, but not in a way that our fans will feel the impact of. It's more so that our preseason is going to be a little bit shorter for our athletes. Because of the way the NCAA schedule is changing, they may report out to Minnesota a little bit later, or maybe a little bit more staggered. But our fans can expect that same mid-May through June home games, and then, you know, knock on wood, hopefully then into July for playoffs. So it'll be another summer of soccer, and we will have just an amazing time at TCO like we always do, and showing these athletes the Minnesota Aurora way.
Oh, that's great. I wasn't quite sure. I knew something was affecting it, and no one could really give me, the straight answer. So I just went right to the top. There you go. Yes, the president of Minnesota Aurora.
I'm here to confirm or deny the rumors.
There we go. There we go. When do tryouts start? I know it's hard right now with all the snow on the ground.
We actually had tryouts back in January. We had our open tryouts. And our head coach, Jen Larrick, is actively recruiting right now. So she is constantly watching games, reaching out to players, reaching out to coaches, really to try to get the best roster possible. So we've got some player announcements coming up here pretty shortly to kind of kick off our reveal of who's going to be on the team this year. And it is, I got to tell you, maybe we say this every year, but it might be the best roster we've ever had. We are really looking forward to some really high quality soccer this year.
You know, that does not surprise me one bit. Just like you said with the league, but there's not any blowouts anymore. It's the team is getting better and stronger, and you're attracting better and stronger talent. So that's really exciting. You guys should be so proud of that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it certainly helps. Every year that passes, we send more and more players pro immediately after playing with us here at Aurora. And you can see them playing right now in the professional leagues. And certainly if you're a young woman who's looking to go pro and continue your soccer journey, I think seeing that every single year, seeing our success rate certainly helps us out with recruiting. I think people, realize to our point earlier about putting your money where your mouth is. We really are doing that and sending these athletes pro and helping them on their journey. So it's been a fun time for sure.
What I've really enjoyed last year was watching Jen Larrick kind of take over and put her own mark on. I know she had been with the team before in a different capacity, but over the past few years that she's been with the team. Now she's just really taken over that role as head coach, and the women love her. And just to see that, again, you mentioned just to be your full authentic self. I know that kids like to throw around the authentic word a lot, but it's true to just show up as yourself and to lead this team and to be the head coach like she is, whether you want to say gaffer, manager, whatever you want to say, she has been phenomenal.
She has been. Our athletes really love her. We all really love her. I think Jen is a wonderful teammate to us. She's a wonderful coach to these athletes. I think, she may be the best educated coach I've ever worked with. She's getting her PhD right now.
Wow.
And I think that just shows you the type of person Jen is. She never stops learning. She never stops chasing better. She never stops trying to understand her craft, whether that's her craft on the field, whether that's her craft in being this leader and this champion for these teams. She is just constantly looking for ways she can continue to improve. And I think that shows. She is, a really phenomenal member of this team, and we're lucky to have her.
What have you learned personally being at the helm of this team, whether it's chief of staff and now as president?
Oh boy, how much time do you have? I have learned so much. I think I have learned really the power of authentic connection with community. I think it's something that, you can see from the outside. You can certainly recognize what this team is doing, but I don't think until you've existed within this community, you really can have any full understanding of the power of that and of the impact of that. And so I have just been so fortunate to talk to folks in our community, talk to our team members, and really understand the power of this club and the power of the community around this club. It ekes into every part of my day. So, every meeting we're having, every, initiative we're thinking about, I think that constant evaluation of how this represents our community, how this will impact our community, how we can continue to champion our community is really powerful and is certainly not a responsibility I take lightly. And so just really learning about the power of that community and to that point, then the responsibility that comes with has been huge for me.
Well, I also want to congratulate you before we go. It's also been a great personal year for you, not only at work, but you got married in November in Scotland.
Yes.
Congrats to you. How was that glorious event for you?
Thank you. Oh my God. Fantastic. We had a wonderful time. I got to live my fairy tale dreams. I got married in a castle in Scotland, and all of my closest family and friends were there, and it was just a dream. So it has. You're right. It's been a great year in my household, certainly.
I was in Scotland just shortly before, so if I stayed longer, I would have crashed it. I saw the pictures after, and I was like, oh my goodness, that is a fairy tale wedding at a castle in Scotland. And I'm just so happy for you and Dylan. And like every single picture is just beautiful. Even if the sun wasn't out at the moment, like somehow Scotland and weddings just go hand in hand, it seems.
I wish I would have known you were in the country. You could have come. We would have loved to have you. But yeah, the lack of sun certainly didn't stop us. And our photographers were Scottish, so luckily they knew how to deal with the hazy weather, and I got those beautiful pictures. So no, it was a little cold, but it was magical.
It was. We were there just a little bit after the Vikings played in Dublin. Stayed for a little bit and came back. So by the time you even got there, I was already back. But it just made me relive Scotland all over again. So kind of a little selfishly, I was like, thank you, because it was just beautiful. And I'm just so happy for you. Saara, you are a joy, not only as a person, but as a leader and as someone in this community, not only in the sports world, but the business world. So I'm so glad that you joined us today. And I'm really proud of what you and Minnesota Aurora are doing, not only for young women, but for the young boys that come out and watch, for the parents, for the community. You're touching a lot of lives. And I think people should hear the good things that are said about them. And when I'm out in the community, it's only great things that I hear about Minnesota Aurora.
Well, thank you, Dawn. We are lucky to have you as part of our community. Certainly, we couldn't do it without every single person, and appreciate those kind words. It's great to hear, and we'll keep pushing. I'm really thrilled to be here.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck on these ticket sales. And I like how the $5 are going to be donated to the Immigrant Law Center. That's just unbelievable. And then the community collection, 15%, doing great things in the community, as well as with young women and mental health. I'm just proud of everything you do. Thank you so much for being on the show with us this week.
Thanks for having me, Dawn.
What if your home lowered your bills, charged your car, and helped protect the planet without lifting a finger? Every City Ventures home is built with solar, smart thermostats, EV charging readiness, and Energy Star appliances all included standard. It's eco-friendly living without the compromise. Intelligent, integrated, included. Discover California's leader in sustainable new home construction at cityventures.com. That's cityventures.com.